You may have heard about the governments like China using political and business surveillance to control people and what services they can and cannot access with their social credit score system. And it's crazy and dystopian as that sounds, it's actually even worse. And it's not just coming to the US, it's already here and it's spreading fast. So in this video, I'm going to discuss how China is really using this technology, how global NGOs like the World Economic Forum are using this technology to usurp the sovereignty of the United States and other nations, how and where it's already being implemented, and of course, most importantly, how and what you should be watching to protect your own freedom and sovereignty as this develops. So let's go. All right, today we are talking about something pretty scary. I'm sorry in advance because this might be scary, but there is a message of hope. There is good things that are happening. I just got back from a conference where I saw amazing things that are going to change things, and I want to share a message of hope. So to set the stage for this, we're talking about technology. Now, technology is a tool, and like a lot of tools, you can, use them for good or use them for bad. A screwdriver you could use to fix a car, open something, or really hurt somebody. You kind of get what I'm talking about. Now, I've always dreamed of technology. Technology makes our lives easier. When I was a kid, I watched the Jetsons cartoon and they could talk to their house. They had robots. That seemed really cool. I wanted to be able to talk to my house and be able to tell it to do everything that I want. That's a great tool, but I don't want Amazon Alexa listening and spying on everything I say. Instant communication, we have our phones, we take them with us everywhere we go. We can stay connected to the web and to our friends, but they're also tracking us all the time, right? We have digital everything, which makes our lives easier, digital money, but these tools could be good, which would help us have more convenient lives. The problem is they're being weaponized against us, and I don't like that. Now, they're using these technologies for one thing that's very scary, and that's this behavioral modification. So using technology, using censorship, using surveillance, they can actually modify the behaviors that we're doing to more behaviors that they want. Now, you've probably heard about a social credit score system. It's been going on over in China for quite some time, and it's starting to come to other parts of the world. Like I said, NGOs are starting to usurp sovereign nations' power with that. Now, you may not know exactly what that is, so let me give you just a quote that came directly out of the social credit score paperwork. It says that it's to establish joint credit reward, so here, reward and punishment mechanism. So if you do things that we like, if you say really nice things about the state, you get credits. If you happen to post something online that's about or bad against the state, then you get punishment. Things like that. You get it across multiple departments and regions. Through information exchange and sharing, we can realize credit alliances across multiple departments and regions. And it says to ensure that those keeping trust receive benefit in all respect, and those breaking trust meet with difficulty at every step. So if you do something they don't like, if you break their trust, what's the definition of breaking trust? I'm going to dig into that in a second. But if you break their trust, then your life is going to be difficult at every single step. And I'm going to show you how far that actually, how many steps that would be. And you can see that China sees this scoring system as a useful tool to manage its growing 1.4 billion population. It's triggered global concerns of ethics, of course, right? So one thing that you're seeing all over the world, of course, I've been talking about, is that there's this populist uprising. We're in an 84-year populist uprising regime change cycle, which of course corresponds to a 250-year revolution cycle. I did a whole video on it. Editor, go ahead and link it up here. They can watch the political revolution cycle video. But the one thing that's happening is we're having this populist uprising all over the world. Before the pandemic, there was 10 countries with 1 million people each marching. Of course, today you can see it everywhere happening again. And the one thing that the nations are really trying to do is trying to prevent civil unrest, because it's getting harder and harder to live. The governments are getting more and more authoritarian, and of course people want to push back against that, and it's causing civil unrest. Of course, in addition to that, there's all this types of infighting. They're pitting one group against another group, and it's causing civil unrest. And the one thing the nations are really trying to do is prevent that. What a better way than to use something like this reward and punishment system to do that? A useful tool to manage, to stop it, to reward those that are doing good and bad. punish those that are doing bad. Now, the problem, of course, as you might be listening to this, is who determines what good and bad is, and what does that even mean? So the way that they look at this in China is like this game of life. I don't know if you've ever played this game. I've played it quite a bit with my kids. They love this game, and basically it takes this game of life and then expands on that, and expands this idea of credit. And so if you do, like I said, things they like, certain tasks they like, then you get more credit, and if you do things they don't like, then it takes it away. So here's an example of this, the game of life. And so these things are rewards. So if you can gain points by donating money, or donating blood, that's a good citizen, good job, you get credits for that. Engaging in some sort of charity work, going and doing some help, you get that. Praising the government on social media, okay, good job, you get credits for that. Of course, helping the poor, you get credit for that. And what kind of rewards would you get for doing something like that? Well, you'd get fast track to a work promotion. All right, you did good stuff, you're a good citizen, you get more promotions. Priority status for children's school admission, so you want to get your kids into a private school, a better school, you need more credits. Okay, easier access to bank loans and consumer credit. So if you want a loan to buy a house, a car, you better be a good citizen, you better have enough credits. And of course, tax breaks. If you're a really good citizen, you might even get some tax breaks. Of course, you might just take all those and reverse them. Those would be the punishments. So if you don't visit your aging parents on a regular basis, in China, it's a collectivist society. They really want to encourage that family, opposite of the United States where they're trying to tear the unit down. But they want you to visit your parents. If you cheat in online games, how dare you? Don't cheat on online games. Insincere apologies for crimes committed. If you're insincere about the apology, and of course spreading rumors on the internet, talking against the state, etc., and you could be excluded from booking flights or trains. You might not even be able to travel. You couldn't even travel out of the country, in the country, not even on a train. Ineligible for certain jobs, so some jobs you can't even have because you don't have enough credits. Restricted access to public services, so you can't even go into the public because you're not a good citizen. You don't have enough credit. Public shaming on TV. Public shaming. They literally have monitors walking where you can see people nearby you that are bad citizens that don't have enough. Now, does this actually get used? Let's take a look at this. Here's the scorecard. Now, this is from 2018. I couldn't find one more updated, but just in 2018 alone, we saw 17.5 million passengers were prevented from flying. 17.5 million people prevented from flying. 128 people were prohibited from leaving China. 128 people couldn't even get out of their country because their credits were too low. 5.5 million people were blocked from even riding a train. 5.5 million people in 2018. Now I would imagine it's probably triple, quadruple that number today. Almost 300,000 times people lost on a promotion at work. 1,400 dog owners were fined, and you get the idea. This is something that's affecting every area of life. Now, that's in China, but it's coming for the rest of the world. Of course, we have the World Economic Forum is pushing this. Our good buddy Klaus Schwab here. Now, he's written 2 books, The Fourth Industrial Revolution and the COVID-19, The Great Reset. Now, I've read both of those books, and I'd recommend you do, because if you want to know where they're trying to take the world, you just listen to them. I take them at their word. So with that, let's go ahead and see what Klaus has to say.
It's at the end, what the fourth industrial revolution will lead to is a fusion of our physical, our digital, and our biological identities. When I wrote the book, I started to write it 4 years ago. It was published 3 years ago. It was sold, very interesting, over 1 million times in the world. And what is interesting is that 800,000 copies, more than 800,000 copies of those 2 million were sold in 3 countries alone: China, Japan, and South Korea.
So you had it. You heard it right from his mouth. Their goal, what they're working towards, is a digital ID system and biometric system where all of your life is in one system. Now, let me break this down or make this clear for you. The goal is to get all of your life into one single location that could be turned on and off with one single switch. All right? They want to establish this global database that will have all of this information. They're working on what they call KTDI, a known traveler digital identity. Now, I'm a known traveler. When I fly the airlines, I get to skip the TSA because I'm a known traveler. I've gone through the documentation. They want to add to that known traveler digital identity, where all of my identity could be in one single place, like I said, in a single switch. Now, on top of that, we see already the WHO, the World Health Organization, also releasing guidance for that. Now, what's interesting, we can see that this digital identity is being pushed all over the place. Now, Accenture, recognize that name, Accenture? I've done videos on them before. They're working on this digital identity on the blockchain, and of course biometrics, so there's no way to cheat this digital ID system that they have. Travel, secure and seamless travel, if you want to travel, background checks and training records for jobs, health care records, of course. Now, this might sound a little familiar, especially when I'm talking about this because of other topics we talked about, which would be central bank digital currencies. We talked about central bank digital currencies being a tool for surveillance, a tool for behavioral modification. Just like the digital ID. And wouldn't it make sense that the same company, Accenture, that's working on the digital ID is also the same company that's working on the United States digital dollar project? What a good partnership that would be. The same company working on the blockchain-based digital ID, where all your life is, and working on the digital dollar, so it can all go together. You can see it coming together. Now, they're not the only ones. There's other companies. This is my payment processor. I'm not too happy about this. They're also working on this digital ID as well. Now, again, this is a tool. Come on. It's a pain in the butt. You have to log into 50 different websites with 50 different usernames and 50 different passwords. You have to carry your ID with you everywhere. It's a pain in the butt. Technology can make that better. Wouldn't it be nice to have one single login that you could just go into every single website? So technology as a tool can make our lives easier, but it can also be weaponized against us at the same time. And so, like I said, they want to put it into a single switch. Now, here's an example of this where we would basically have a digital identity right here, one central location, which would have healthcare, all our financials, so all our money could be turned on and off, food and sustainability, if we could even buy stuff, what we're buying, things like that, travel and mobility, trains, planes, automobiles, etc., humanitarian response, if we need stimulus, things like that, e-commerce, if we're even allowed to buy and sell stuff online, of course, social platforms. What are you saying online, good citizen? In one location, of course, dealing with the government, telecommunications, even being able to communicate with other people, and smart cities, having access in the cities. All of that in one single location, one single switch, as I said, to turn that on and off. Now, while this sounds like some dystopian thing that's happening in China, and this could never happen in the United States, I think at this point you're starting to figure out that it certainly can. And as a matter of fact, it certainly is. It's already starting. Now, we're seeing lots of this starting to show up in America at this point, but at this point, it's still just kind of piecework, but it's coming together. So for example, we've seen a lot of providers coming on board with this. Just in the last couple of weeks, we saw PayPal, which is a payment company, partner up with the ADL, an Anti-Defamation League. Now, the Anti-Defamation League sounds great. We don't want defamation. I don't want someone defaming me, neither do you. So it's great, have that, right? But PayPal and Anti-Defamation League teamed up to attack revenue sources of those spreading disinformation or forms of hate. So this is censorship. So PayPal, the payment company, partnered up with a group called ADL, who gets to decide if what you're saying is hateful. What's the definition of hateful? If you're saying something people don't like, but who? Who doesn't like it? Now today, people get offended over all kinds of things. So what is the definition of hate? Well, the ADL, they apparently have a definition, and they're working with PayPal to block all financial transactions for people that they deem to be spreading hate. Now, it doesn't just go beyond that. They're also going to be sharing the data with other people in the financial industry, other policymakers, and even law enforcement. And that's not the only one. This just popped up this week. We're seeing this happen. A popular app called OpenTable, which I've used many times in the past, probably not again in the future, many times in the past, that allows you to book tables, book reservations, things like that. It's great. technology. It's useful. It's a tool. However, now they've partnered with Clear. You might have heard of Clear before. If you fly through the airport, they're a digital ID system to get through the airport. So now they've partnered with Clear to make sure that you have this digital card, I won't say the word, digital card for restaurants that require it. So now all these restaurants around the United States are starting to require that you have this card in order to even eat inside the restaurant. And now Clear has joined OpenTable to integrate their technology to make sure that you have that card before you book a reservation. Well, how do they make sure you have the card? Oh, the card has to be loaded in some type of digital ID location, some central location that it can pull that data from. You're getting the idea. And even this week, we saw Chase Bank terminate credit to General Michael Flynn. Now, General Michael Flynn was implicated in some things that may or may not be good for the state, depending on which position you're in. I'm not here to take sides. He was found, I believe, exonerated, or they didn't press charges against him, but it wasn't good enough for Chase. Chase decided that they decided to close his credit because continuing the relationship creates possible reputational risk for our company. His social credit apparently was too low, so it didn't look good to have him part of the company. So they closed his credit accounts. Social credit in America right now. All right, now like I said, tools can be good and bad, right? Some of them, they're logical, right? They're good. They like the website thing. Why can't I just have one ID? Why do I have to log into so many? Why can't I just talk to my house and have automation? But I don't want these tools used against us. They can be weaponized against us, and they are. The problem with censorship is that if there's a line not to cross, what is that line? And more importantly, who draws that line? Now today, everybody's at each other's throats. There's pretty much no way that you can win. No matter what you say or what you do, you're going to be offending somebody, it seems like, anymore at this point. And so I know a lot of you watching this might think this is ridiculous. Maybe you think that this is all about this health pass thing. It's not. This is about all of this together, because who draws the line? That's the question. You might think you're on the right side today, but somebody else has the opposite side of that opinion. Nobody should have the right to draw that line and determine whether you are able to participate in society or not. No one should have the power to remove people from society. No one should have the power to remove you from being able to do business. I mean, just think about this. Today, all business is done online. If you get kicked off of Facebook and Google, you're out of the marketplace. If you can't advertise your business in those marketplaces, you're effectively removed from the marketplace. You're effectively not even able to work in the digital age. And who determines where that line is? And if they kick you off, you wouldn't even be able to advertise your business. Now, as bad as all that sounds, it can get even worse when it comes to money. Now, like I said, the money can be behavioral. So they could say, hey, here's your stimulus. If you don't spend it by Friday, we get it back. But it can also be more behavioral, where you can only spend it here, here, here. You can only buy this, this, this. You can't buy these things. We've already seen banks doing this. We've seen banks banning certain purchases that are legal, like fireworks, for example, on 4th of July. But banks say, nope, you can't buy them, even though they're legal. Firearms, even though firearms are legal, protected by the Second Amendment, some banks block those transactions. We've seen recently, in the last couple of weeks, a popular website called OnlyFans. They got their banking shut off, and because of adult content, things like that. Now it's legal, but the banks have decided they don't want to allow you to do that because it's up to them now. They revoked the banking from General Flynn, as I showed you. They even kicked Trump's bank accounts out of the bank. The sitting president of the United States, they also banned his bank accounts. Now, digital dollars, as I said, will only speed this up because they're digital, because they're programmable. And as I showed you, Accenture, which is developing the program, is the one working on the digital IDs. Now, all right. That was a lot. That was scary. The world's getting dark. But don't worry, there's hope. Let me give you some hope. All right. There's something called dissident tech. It's a category, at least that's what I call it, for dissidents, for people that don't want to be told what they can and can't say, people that don't want to be kicked out of the market because they've taken an opposite view of somebody else. And so we have dissident tech, and this is a very fast growing and a promising space, and it's one that I'm actively working on, and paying attention to. And so today, right now, as of this moment, there's some apps you're going to be noticing. I'm going to be moving my community into some of these where I can have my own community, kind of like a Facebook group, where my community can chat, can talk between us. I can talk with them. I can put my videos, I can put my podcasts, you can listen to them. And it's all censorship resistant. As a matter of fact, I'll explain that a little bit more, where we can have communication, we can be chatting back and forth. We can even have voice, data, and video all in these communities, all censorship resistant. We can have money that cannot be censored. Now, if you watch my videos enough, you probably know what I'm talking about, and that is Bitcoin. Now, I know Bitcoin to a lot of people is a lot of different things. Some people think, oh, it's like digital money, it's like digital cash, it's like digital gold, it's like all those, right? It's a store of value. Well, it's also more than that. Just like the internet is more than just a way to send electronic messages, Bitcoin is a way to do more than just to send electronic cash. It's a network, a censorship-resistant network that now has technologies being built on layers 2 and layers 3 that are allowing us to actually send voice, data, video across the Bitcoin network. A censorship-resistant network. Just last week I was in Dallas, Texas. There was a hackathon and there was a phone that can work on the Bitcoin network. The community that I'm talking about, that I'm going to be moving into, is built on the Bitcoin network, and it's censorship resistant. So the more the state is trying to control, that's a problem. Solutions are developed that allow us to counter that and have platforms, money, voice, communications that can't be censored. So while the world is closing in and it seems scary, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that is new technology that's moving faster than the nation state can move, and it's allowing us to have freedom. Does that make it sound a little bit better? If so, leave me a comment and say I feel better. If you want to know more about what types of technologies these are, how we can use them, what the names of them are, leave me a comment if you want more, and tell me, and I'll make more videos talking about this specifically. I know this is a scary subject. I'm scared. It's not a world that I want. I don't want for my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, and I am doing something about it. And hopefully you're excited about that as well. Like I said, leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Are you worried, or am I taking this out of proportion? Do you want to know more about this? I want to know. As always, give me a thumbs up on this video if you like it. If you don't like the video, give me a thumbs down. I get it. It was scary. But at least tell me why in the comments down below. And that's what I got for you today. To your success. I'm out.